Well, this is a short story from the Kalis office here in Alice Springs, and this is for people who are working with young people in Central Australia, the Youth Worker Clan. So I've got a few little stories and some suggestions or to put to you. When I say or, I mean I'm not sure what I'm going to put to you, but you'll hear it soon enough. So here's number one. Number one is, you might have seen or heard the film by Warwick Thornton called We Don't Need a Map. This is a line from one of the Indigenous men in the film. He says, we don't need a map to understand our country, but we do need a long, clear view. Now, it's true that youth worker skills and the youth worker profession does need a map of basic skills, a map of steps in youth worker, a map of situations that you would come across, or anyone involved in youth work here in Central Australia, matters and issues that come up. But you also need, I would say, a clear view. And this sometimes means having a closer look, a closer view of one's own thinking and attitudes and history and expectations and one's own place in Australia and in Central Australia as it is now. So here's the first bit. I'm just going to call this basic steps in youth work. Now you've got a whole long list, if you want, of basic skills: how to handle football, how to handle bicycles, how to handle administration, how to do this and how to do that. But I'm thinking now more about the personal experiences of many people who've been working in Central Australia with young people since back in the 80s, and I can remember some of those people and some of those situations myself when, before even Kalis, the Central Australian Link-Up Service, started. Go back to the Petrol Link-Up time, and back to the Healthy Aboriginal Life Team, and back to the foundations of the Mount Theo program, the Njatnama program, the Barry Cook program, the Barry Abbott program, a lot of youth work situations in town and out. I'm drawing on that. So this is simple. I call this walking the line. On one side of you, you have the local community Indigenous line of understanding of how responsibility is carried through. You also have the line of accountability. Who's accountable for who, for what, in what situations, and then who has authority. And if you're working with young people, you also have your own idea or your own organisation's idea of responsibility and accountability and who has authority over who about what. This is simple in a one culture place, but when you're in a mixed up double culture place, Kintor, Kiwikura, Papunya, Nyiripi, Yuendamu, and Daria, walking the line of accountability, responsibility and authority for youth worker in each of those places can be quite a tricky balancing act. And underneath that, there's another really simple pattern I'd like to put, and it's a triangle pattern. And on one side of the triangle at one point is what I'd call keeping good relations point. And the other side is keeping hold of good creation point. The creation point is the idea or the feeling you've got in yourself that creation can come out of you and you can help creativity, and transmit that and be reciprocal in creative projects with young people. good relations, holding good creation, and dealing every day with a chance of destruction, the whole thing coming down on somebody's head. So that triangle, relations, creation and destruction, means also the skill of keeping pace, keeping slowly or calmly keeping pace with all the changes in relations and in the pattern of creation and destruction. And you can't do it all by yourself. And this is why the Kalis mob are saying youth workers may need some more help to keep their basic steps in youth work calm, balanced and considered, even though you might be very familiar with the basic skills of football, motorcar management, painting, administration and all that. So that's the end of my first little talk. What am I doing here? Trying to get a clear view.